A little bit of my story. I grew up in India in a very small town, and my career started at 15 working in a factory. That's a real shot of the factory for $2 a day. And one thing led to another, and I found myself working with the top names in the world, Fortune 500 companies, and now here. I'm humbled because when I was 17 or 18, I could have killed to be in an institution like this, getting hard skills to a combination of hard and soft skills, with the focus being on soft skills more. And again, as I said, storytelling with data will be always in demand. What machines did was it freed up our hands and limbs to do whatever we wanted with them. Before that, we used to work, almost non-stop in fields, 7 days a week. But now AI will free up our minds to do whatever we want. So what that will lead to is more energy and time and resources will be invested in things that give us true pleasure, art, innovation, and connecting with others.
This is a question from Bryce Lawrence from Computer Programming. He's mentioning, you have been explaining how AI is going to change our society. What are the current challenges for our workforce?
Today, I think the challenges today are, first of all, we are going through a disruptive time right now. A lot of people are, the pandemic has caused even more disruption because we are going through challenges of hybrid work, remote work. The key is to learn to communicate better, to understand other people's priorities better. The more we can understand other people's priorities, we can come up with solutions that fit their perspective better. And that goes from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top. So
one of the things that I witness in social media today is the decreased interval or time for processing language, meaning it required time to both think about what you would say, hear it, formulate a response, and communicate it back.
Yeah.
With artificial intelligence, that processing time goes to milliseconds or if anything, right? And so what do you think will happen in human communication language? Will language be necessary, that sort of listening and communicating back, or will we turn a lot of that over to the machines, and then what will our language look like?
Yeah, very interesting point. See, the thing is, if we look around the world, language, huge portions of language have been dedicated to us appearing smart. Very complicated words, very complicated, very technical language, which helps us become smarter and help us, sort of communicate with other experts in the field. But if you go outside that field, nobody has an idea what we are talking about. That creates huge barrier in communication, right? So now you can imagine if AI generally takes over this type of work, we won't need that complex language anymore. So in my opinion, we will return back to like the basics, more human-focused language, which is geared towards connecting with each other rather than, utilizing it for a commercial purpose or for, helping us appear smart in front of other people. That's my opinion.
Right. Can empathy be programmed? I know a lot of humans that can't be trained in empathy. So I wonder if it might just be easier to train a machine.
See, I think that is the answer, right? Because if we look at AI, it's a technology invented by human beings. And if we look at any other technology, in my opinion, it hasn't surpassed what humans are able to do. So in my opinion, yes, it technically is possible, but I think, especially with quantum computing, because when you really dig a little bit deeper into how our mind works and all that, with the quantum theory combined, I think this is a possibility. But the problem is that if humans cannot be empathetic to each other, we are never going to be thinking about building a system that is going to be empathetic.
So I have a question about storytelling. So a lot of the people that go into technical fields, can you hear me okay? Typically are very good at that and lack that that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And I found, so I'm finishing a PhD, and I found that people in my field started with an English major, and then became technologists, and they write beautifully. So they have a very compelling message, and they know how to drive us into a very exciting story. What would you suggest for everybody, right, to do now to be able to bring that compelling story with data?
Sure. First of all, watch some Pixar movies.
Yeah.
So actually, it's on a serious note. So there are two story frameworks that people can read up on. One is called Hero's Journey framework. So basically, if you look at any major movie, you'll find certain sequences happen in that movie. Like, at the beginning of the movie, nothing, like there's a normal person living their life, and something happens in their life, some event happens which leads them to a different type of life, like you take Star Wars, you take Matrix, you take all of these, like even animated movies. So they go off onto this adventure, and then they overcome a lot of challenges, that's the bulk of that story, and then towards the end they overcome all the challenges, and now they are, they are victorious, they are coming back. That's the general sort of flow of every story. And Pixar uses similar framework, and they are tried and tested frameworks. So anybody can just Google Pixar story framework or Hero's Journey framework and take any situation in life, in business, and superimpose that story framework to create a story that is engaging. Because as human beings, what we want is inspiration. And every story, the format of the story is you start somewhere low, low emotional point, nothing is happening or negative events are happening, and towards the end, there's a happy ending, like, everybody's happy. And so that's the general sort of format of a story. If you apply that in a business format, you can just say, oh, before we implemented this, things were terrible, and blah, blah, blah. And then things improved. Okay, that's the story.
As humans, we develop, different cultures in different countries, maybe related to locations, no? But with AI, it's something that we try to be, something universal, even the internet, it's globally, no? But what is going to happen with our cultures? Well, you said our inspirations. That's why we create something, different. We have different ideas. Mm-hmm. If we, keep only the thing of AI, giving us everything, how we can protect, our difference? How, we think, different than you, the other gentleman, the lady, how we can protect that?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and there are two answers to it, right? One is that what we consume as information is somewhat controlled, somewhat curated, somewhat affected by the platforms that are, sharing that information. So social media being the biggest platform, like there are 3 billion people on that. So what we think about is affected by these social media platforms. But if you take it on the flip side, we are also affected positively, because now sitting here in Miami, I can experience a culture, South American culture. I can learn about culture in China. I can learn about culture in any part of the world, and I can pick up things that I like about that culture, incorporate into my culture, right? So it's also encouraging cross-pollination.
But as you say, social media.